Now back to Inside West Virginia Politics with Mark Curtis.
And welcome back to Inside West Virginia Politics, where this Sunday we continue our discussion about legal marijuana in the Mountain State. I'm joined now by Mike Stuart, the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of West Virginia. Great to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
We've heard from a proponent of legalizing adult use marijuana. You are strongly opposed to this. Why?
I think a whole bunch of reasons. I think first and foremost, West Virginia has a whole bunch of things it needs to do to build its economy. We hear about the marijuana miracle all the time. I think it'd be a marijuana mistake. If West Virginia is down to the point of building its economy off the backs of marijuana, then we're surely in terrible shape. And there are lots of ideas for how to build this economy. We need to focus on that. But from a marijuana standpoint, it's the danger of this drug, the things we don't know.
Well, I want to split this up. We'll talk about the dangers in a second from your perspective. But the economic part of it, are the success stories in other states, particularly Colorado, are those exaggerated, overstated? Are they really creating the revenue that people think they are?
So they're creating revenue, but what they don't account for are the costs that are associated with this. And so in Colorado, less than 1% of the state budget comes from marijuana revenue. What they don't account for, though, is the increase in teen truancy, the increase in driving under the influence of drugs, the lack of productivity, all the issues related, law enforcement, regulatory enforcement. At the end of the day, they lose money in Colorado. And what we're finding are these new studies in California and New York where they're saying, oh my gosh, we're not going to make the revenue we thought we were going to make from this. We're a relatively small state. Demographically, nobody's talked about that in West Virginia. Demographically, the wrong demographics for legalizing marijuana. A workforce that over 50% don't participate, a relatively poor population, a very addicted society. The last thing we need is another substance where folks can get addicted.
You held a seminar here a few months ago and had the former U.S. Attorney from Colorado here. He talked about statistics that showed an increase in problems. Enumerate some of those problems they
Well,
had.
those numbers include almost, I think it's 170% increase in driving under the influence of drugs, something that every county is not prepared to do. It's a big investment. Teen use of drugs is up 85% in Colorado over comparable states. There are a lot of reasons we ought not do this, but we need to at least be cautious. Let's wait for the data to come in. Let's find out more about this substance. We've been waiting for a long time, and the potency numbers, a lot of folks don't realize, this is not Woodstock marijuana. Far from it. We just saw in Cleveland yesterday, one of my concerns are children and teens. We know that there's an increased use or increased risk for schizophrenia, other mental health disorders, but we just saw in Cleveland yesterday, kids 5 years old, 6 years old, 9 kids were hospitalized yesterday from gummy bears that were brought to school. It's a terrible thing. We must make sure that we're prepared to enforce the law with respect to this and that our kids are safe.
I want to hold up the bill again. This is House Bill 2331, sponsored by Mick Bates, who we've heard from, a delegate from Raleigh County. One of the things this bill would do, and I want to talk instead about the pros and cons of marijuana itself, the logistics of this bill. This would allow all 55 counties and some municipalities in West Virginia to hold ballot referendums and decide if they wanted legal adult use or recreational marijuana. So Cabell County might say yes, but Putnam County might say no. Kanawha might say yes. Wayne may say no. Would this create a hodgepodge and make it difficult for law enforcement in the state?
It'd be a mess for law enforcement, right? State police work across the state. What I would urge is we need a period of fact-finding. I have great confidence in the people of West Virginia. I have less confidence in politicians. I think it's important we get the facts out there. We let moms and dads evaluate whether this is something they want. I'm personally opposed, but I will say as the U.S. Attorney, I don't take a role in terms of public policy. If West Virginia goes down this path, so be it. But my personal view is we're not ready for this, and we need to talk about this more. And it's important. I'll tell you the one thing about the marijuana lobby. They're powerful, they're loud, they're smaller than they like to pretend that they are. But most people think that what we're talking about is the Woodstock marijuana. That's just not the case. This is a very potent substance, and we also know there's marijuana addiction. It's just a fact. And what I would urge the marijuana lobby, those folks proposing this, be honest about the discussion. Take it to the people. Let the people evaluate. We shouldn't hide facts from the public. Let's be honest in our discussion. Let's talk about the good and the bad. And to me, that's the goal of this whole discussion is let's make sure the public's aware of what we're signing up for, because I guarantee this, those Wall Street investment bankers who are pushing this substance, they're not going to be here later to pick up the bag whenever things fall down for West Virginia. They're not doing this because they love us, but there's a great source of revenue for them, the ones who sell it. But for West Virginia, I think this is an economic loser. loser.
All right, Mike Stuart, the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of West Virginia. Thanks for joining us today. We're going to continue this discussion after a break and talk about medicinal marijuana and what's going on with that. Stay with us.